Hey, and welcome to The Office Field Guide. My name's Chris, and I'm reviewing every episode of The Office ever. And today, we're covering Employee Transfer.
Did Daryl touch you?
What?
Employee Transfer was written by yet another newcomer for my show, Anthony Q. Farrell. He is a writer and producer known for The Office, The Thundermans, and The Secret Life of Boys. He'd been on board with the series for all of season 4, but this was his first foray into lead writing. In addition to this episode, he also wrote the Casual Friday episode and the Kevin's Lone webisode. Employee Transfer was directed by David Rogers, who was the lead editor throughout the entire series. This seems to be his first directing credits in general, and he also then went on to direct the rest of these episodes. Okay, and this one originally aired on October 30th, 2008, making Employee Transfer Season 5's official Halloween episode. I mean, it does start with this costume-centric cold opening, but is this episode even scary?
And then we never talked about it again and haven't been back to the conversation.
There's nothing out here, man.
Yeah.
Michael, we've only been dating each other for a few weeks.
Listen to me.
Breakup's hurt.
We didn't break up. Don't do it. Please don't do this. Please don't do this. I don't know what I'm gonna do.
Please call me back.
Please. I'm not gonna be okay.
Please.
You will.
No, I won't. I'm not strong. I'll go back to Jan, and I hate Jan. Oh, God!
Okay, I guess it is. Alright, so this one was viewed by 9.32 million people, which is way up from the 7.7 million from the previous week. And it makes me wonder if Halloween marketing might have had something to do with it. And this one currently has an 8 out of 10 on IMDb. Your employee transfer trivia is, what is Phyllis's costume? As always, I run these comment contests in these videos, trivia, Easter egg, and the emoji sequence for next week's episode, which is this. And I'm warning you now, this is gonna be a longer video than most of my field guides, as it seems that there was just this endless well of stuff to talk about here, and I figured, hey, let's go ahead and talk about it. So in this one, we're gonna be talking about talking, we're gonna be talking about college, and we're gonna be talking about these people. As always, there may be some spoilers for the series ahead, so be warned, and with that, let's hit the road.
I understand nothing.
All right, let's start with the Joker.
Damn it, Creed.
The Dark Knight is one of my favorite superhero movies of all time, and it was huge at this time. Joker was huge at this time, and Heath Ledger's performance was incredible.
Let's put a smile on that face.
But this episode does make me wonder if Creed Bratton might have been able to step into that role.
Let's put a smile on that face.
I found this quote from him, where he talks about how it's awesome that people found him eerie and really uncomfortable, and he thought that was a good thing because he thought at some point after The Office was over, he would love to step into more character parts. And I mean, it's such an incredible performance for such a small bit. I do think this cold opening messes with my rankings of Halloween episodes of The Office, but I don't really want to get into that one here. Look for a Halloween themed video at some point. But let's look at some other things from this cold opening. Andy's dressed up as a kitten.
We were looking for Kitten.
I always loved Andy's response to Jim's costume.
Cool.
It's one of the things about Jim's character that I've never really completely related with. His absolute refusal to dress up for Halloween as though it's this huge thing. But I guess with the rest of the office taking their costumes this far every year, maybe his stance is justified. Some people have identified Andy as dressing up as the cat from the play Cats called Rug Tug Tugger, who is portrayed by Jason Derulo in the Cats movie.
Cool.
The A-plot of this episode involves a shocking twist in which Holly begins to move away. And I'm not talking about it right now. We need to go on to something else. Jim still has this keychain. I speculated way back in season 2 that the reasons he kept this keychain with him was that it ultimately did bring him some luck that night, as Pam did get the teapot. I could be wrong, but I don't think we see this keychain again in the series. This restaurant is supposedly the East 3rd Steakhouse and Lounge in LA, but I couldn't actually confirm that. Jim's brothers... I've never been able to tell if they're just doing this because they're obnoxious or because they're obnoxious and oblivious. I think that when people say that Jim is a bully to Dwight, somehow perceive Jim similar to his brothers, but I'm pretty sure the writers are going out of their way to show a clear difference.
Guys, what is going on?
Jim's brother Pete is played by Tug Coker. That's a name. He's had small acting roles in a bunch of different shows, and according to IMDb, he played with Andy Buckley in a show that Tug co-wrote called Now We're Talking. The poster references that it's a Go 90 original series, whatever that means, and Andy Buckley isn't actually credited in IMDb as working on this series at all. And that's when I gave up researching this for this video. Tug, if you're a fan of this series, let's talk. Let's get down to the bottom of this. Blake Robbins, who plays Halpert's other brother Tom, well, he's been in minor roles all over the place, including 24.
Jack Bauer.
To me, this might be the funniest line that Pam ever has in the series. Fisher delivered this spot on.
Hey, how about at Thanksgiving we prank Tom about being bald?
But also rude? It's genetic. I can't do anything about it. As much as I've talked about Pam hate on this channel, I can't believe I've never used this clip in any of those videos.
And I can't even take off my hat because then I'm Hitler.
I think that it perfectly fits the way that people throw shade at Pam. Anyway, the use of rascal flats on this car trip. Okay, no, I'm not doing it. I love some of the parody of what's going on in this episode with Dwight and Andy and how it compares to some of the stuff from Product Recall.
Nobody wants that to happen.
And there's some great lines in their banter that are just delivered spot on.
Hearing from
Department
Cornell, you will not be pleased with the
you
result.
will not be pleased with the
And
result.
your affiliation with Cornell.
I took a shot at Big Bang Theory earlier this year, and I caught a little flack for that.
And tonight they are airing the Brain Dead version. So welcome one and all to the world premiere of Corporate Crap Fest.
But this episode has some perfectly fine examples as to why that show isn't as clever as what I think they wanted the audience to think it was.
Have you learned nothing in 6 years?
Take an Average Exchange and Big Bang Theory, and the jokes just have two punchlines. A nerd joke or a science joke. Both of which the understanding of the reference does not unlock some crazy level of hilarity just because you get what they're talking about. Instead, just them dropping the reference is the joke. And for example, there are a few of these in this episode.
That's Big Red Bear. That's a bobble Big Red Bear.
The Harmoniacs or the Do-Re-Migos? Someday we'll both get together in Comstock Hall and just laugh about all of this.
Who was Cornell's 8th president?
Dale Raymond Corson.
We don't have to know these things to get the joke. The joke is that they're saying things that most of us wouldn't know or even think to say.
It's pronounced colonel. It's the highest rank in the military.
It's pronounced Cornell.
I'd loosely say it does work here in this episode because it's not the crutch the show walks on, and instead here it works in the narrative and it makes sense. And I probably should have saved that for the ratings, but I don't know. I'm digging the bottom of the barrel here. I guess we're gonna have to talk about this Nashua stuff. No. Did you know that Kelly went to
Dartmouth. Ever heard of it?
All right, fine, let's talk about it. All right, the Nashua stuff. Okay, wait. Tug Coker, Andy's costume is Rug Tug Tucker, the Cats movie, which has a creepy Idris Elba cat. There's gotta be something going on here. Okay. Let's just get into it.
It's another dolly in the truck, Mike. You can take more than that lamp.
I love Lamp.
First, I think there's a continuity issue here.
When corporate found out that we were dating, they decided they were going to transfer Holly back to her old branch in Nashua, New Hampshire.
So you're from Des Moines? Wow, that sounds so warm.
So here's my thought. One, based on the great research that's been done by Andy Green in this book, I read that season 5's writer room became a thing of nightmares for many of them. Not because of infighting or anything like that, but just because of the stress of the show, the tight deadlines, and the fact that many of them had been living and breathing the series for so long. It was just beginning to take its toll.
Oh, it's not gonna work.
So the question for how to get Holly and Michael to break up without disrupting any of Michael's growth from this season had to be a really challenging thing to figure out. So they needed to figure out how to get Holly to leave. I've come to the realization that the sole reason that Crime Aid episode exists is because they wanted David Wallace there to see this. So I think they needed to forsake Holly's loosely established backstory to relocate her to the faraway lands of Nashua, New Hampshire, where she is now previously from. Where I also think this falls flat and makes me think that the writing staff was really crunched is passing this drive off as a 7+ hour drive, which it's not. A quick Google search would prove that wrong. I mean, you can make it a 7-hour drive. Like if you drove from Scranton to Philly, up through New York City, and then to Boston, boom, 7 hours. But just from Scranton to Nashua, if you take 85 here, it's just a 5-hour drive, assuming that you go to the speed limit all the way. Meaning that this logic...
If you leave on Friday, by 5 you'll be rolling in at midnight at best, and then sleep in Saturday.
...was just written for forced drama. And if there's anything I hate more in a series, it's forced drama.
I don't want the drama.
I mean, the halfway point here is Waterbury, or Woodbury, or Middlebury, or Southbury. That's all weird. But I looked for Michael's dream hotel, and here's what I found.
Imagine a hotel right here, pool over here, little breakfast place with really good bacon.
Then I wake up to the smell of crackling bacon.
Not to mention, if Michael or Holly left after work on Friday, they'd be at each other's house around 10 p.m. on Friday night. And that's not asking too much, especially for people who eat dinner at 8 p.m. on weeknights. I just can't get over that. I guess what I'm getting at is, why did they do this to us?
Please don't do this.
I mean, not Wallace. I get why he'd do that. He saw what happened when Michael was mixed up in a branch corporate romance before. And that didn't really go well for anyone. So it's easy to vilify Wallace for this, but it's arguably the only definitive thing that he's ever done in a leadership position at Dunder Mifflin, at least on screen. But with the intensity that the end of this arc displays, it made me wonder what their love life really entailed. I mean, Holly described their relationship like this later.
You made us out to be more than we were.
Maybe we were more than we were.
I don't know what you're getting so upset about. We had a fun fling a long time ago.
So let's see what there really is. And fair warning, I'm filming this before I make this edit. So I'm not really sure what direction future Chris is gonna take this. But enjoy this ode to Michael and Holly using only clips up to this point.
It was easy to get in, but impossible to rise up.
That's what she said.
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 That's what she said. That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she said.
That's what she... A lot of places are like that. We are all very lucky to have her here.
Michael, thank you so much for saying that. I feel so welcome here.
You know what? I think we're a great couple. I think we are a classic couple. I think we are like Romeo and Juliet. I think we go together so well. We're like peanut butter and jelly. Don't you think? Well then, don't do it. Please don't do this. Please don't do this.
Cool.
Let's dive into the deeper meaning.
What does a bean mean?
Someone please explain it to Kat.
Okay, I kicked around a lot of things while watching this over the last couple weeks, preparing for this field guide. I've kind of debated on what we're supposed to take away from this one. Don't try things because you're just gonna fail? Or is there something here about knowing where you came from and saying goodbye?
I'm going to make this way harder than it needs to be.
But I'll keep the overarching motif that pops up again and again in this episode, and that's communication. Here's a brief list. Michael and Holly are talking to nobody on the radio. Holly shares a story about how the topic of moving came up once, but then they never readdressed it. Michael literally screams to stop this conversation from happening.
This trip is longer than I thought.
Yeah, it did look shorter.
As their issues start surfacing, Daryl leaves a voicemail begging for someone to call so that he doesn't have to hear all of this communication. As they say goodbye to each other, Michael seems to hold on to some hope that they didn't actually break up. And to his points, Those words weren't spoken. And in other plots, we have Dwight not really saying what he's doing, which is clearly just to make Andy blow up, which I assume he thinks Angela will break up with him then. Even the costumes kind of play into this. Pam's real costume is a bold choice of Charlie Chaplin, a star who rose to fame during silent movies. Phyllis's costume is someone who doesn't talk. Even the Joker stuff is about wearing a mask, putting a smile on your face no matter what's going on. The C plot of this one with Pam and Jim's brothers all revolve around possibly telling Jim that he's marrying someone that they don't approve of by saying it, but also not saying it. But there's also this text message they leave him later, so I'm not really sure what to do with that.
Text message from my brother. Pam Cool, welcome to the family.
And the resolution of this one has Daryl encouraging Michael to sing out his blues.
Da-na-na-na-na. When I do that, okay, that's when you hit me with what's getting you down. All right.
But either Michael doesn't get it or doesn't want to vocalize what he's feeling, and he opts just to make these bass noises.
Na-na.
Da-na-na-na-na.
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 Da-na-na-na-na. Da-na-na-na. Yeah. Da-na-na-na.
And it does help you swallow that lump in the back of your throat because this ends so sadly. But it does undercut the message here, and I think that message is talk. Speak your truth.
To speak my truth.
Well, to speak my truth, to speak my truth.
Speak my truth.
Are you guys high?
This is a problem that Michael's had for a long time. Maybe had they dealt with this in this last week, this situation wouldn't have been as traumatic. And look, sometimes conversations suck, and you know what you're getting into is gonna be uncomfortable, might lead to an argument, or might lead to a resolution that generally sucks for you. But sticking your head in the sand and pretending that things aren't going on doesn't fix the issue. Michael made this way harder than it needed to be. And with that, let's rate this one.
This is the worst.
There's so much I want to know about why this episode turned out the way it did, but I don't know, maybe someday we'll get some writers on here. As it is, the cold opening is a classic. 3 Jokers is such a good idea. Kevin's reaction to Creed is spot on, and I'm pretty sure Angela Kinsey is breaking character behind him.
Damn it, Creed. I've been up since 4.
And having the elevator doors shut on Dwight just to have him open again is such a mundane office occurrence, and it has this nice touch to it. So I'm giving this one a 4 out of 5. As for this episode, I'm gonna give this one a 2 out of 5. And this isn't because of what I finished the last episode with. Would that get more views if I just trashed every episode?
It's not worth it.
I think that this episode is a sign of some of the weak points that are happening in the writer's room of The Office and the struggles that they were having at this time. I don't think this is Farrell's fault at all. I think it's a symptom of a core issue. But even a 2 out of 5 episode of The Office has some great things to love. This final hug with Michael and Holly is amazing. So much is left unsaid, so much is hanging, just beautifully acted. And the resolution with Daryl and Michael is a cool tension reliever, and the outro is also great.
You're supposed to cook these, aren't you?
Cornell.
But that's just what I think about employee transfer. What are your thoughts? Leave them in the comments. I want to hear what you have to say. And don't forget about the comment contest and the emoji sequence for next week's episode, which is customer survey.
Bud Liquor, our prices have never been lower.
Okay, and if you made it this far, I want to invite you to come check out my Patreon page. I've recently made some changes that I'm pretty excited about. We have 2 tiers. One tier gets you added to a new weekly contest that any patron can participate in. Each week you'll get a chance to tell everyone what you think about this episode. The best 5 reviews will make it on to the end of each field guide, and every patron will make the credits. And that's just $3 a month. That's less than a cup of coffee where I live. So if you're interested, check that out. The other tier gets you into the inner circle.
There is no inner circle.
That's a secret channel on our Discord in which episode previews are dropped early, and you're able to help shape the direction of the channel with your thoughts of different things I'm doing with the channel. So check it out if you want. Either way, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.